Hi, in this lesson we want to talk about simplifying trig expressions, especially the expressions that contain values. So at this point, I'm pretty sure you're able to solve what sine over x over 2 sine x is. Basically, these cancel as if they were terms and we are left with 1 over 2. So that is simple enough, but what happens when we get something like sine of 100? Or let me write it 100 all over cos 10. So at first it seems like these two are unrelated. Maybe you might try dividing the 100 and the 10, but all of that is incorrect. Or maybe you might try converting it to a tan because it's sine over cos, but that too is incorrect. So what we have to know in order to solve this is the reduction map. And that reduction map looks like this. All students take C. I don't know what mnemonic you can use to replace or word you can use to replace C, but my teacher used to say all students take Coke. So Coke is in the one that you drink, not whatever else you might be thinking about. So what does this map actually tell us? It tells us that in the first quadrant, all values are positive. So sine is positive, cos is positive, tan is positive. What about the second quadrant where we have S? Well, this is telling us that only sine is positive in the second quadrant. So if we have an angle that ends up in the second quadrant, then we can be sure that that angle, which is 180 minus theta, is negative if it's tan or cos. And then in the following quadrant, which is 180 plus theta, we have tan being positive in this quadrant. And then in the last one we have, in this one we can call it 360 minus theta. In this one only cos is positive. So what does this actually mean, or how can we apply these laws? Well, let's say you're given something like cos of, let's say 120. Cos of 120 is not a special angle, but we can rewrite it in terms of cos of 180 minus 60. Then according to these reduction angles, saying cos or 180 plus or 180 minus, we're able to reduce the size of the angle to just the angle itself. So cos 180 minus 60 lands us in the second quadrant. So we're working in the quadrant where only sine is positive. Therefore, the answer I'll have is negative cos of theta. Hopefully that makes sense. So, or in this case, theta would be 60 degrees. So that would be our answer, and cos 60 is the angle that we actually do know because of special angles. But this is what the general law states, that if we have sine of theta, that's just equal to sine theta. If we have sine of 180 minus theta, since it's sine and 180 minus theta is in the second quadrant, then this is going to be positive sine theta. Then we have sine of 180 plus theta, and since this is in the third quadrant where only tan is positive, that's going to be minus sine theta. Then lastly we have sine is equal, or sine of 360 minus theta, and again this is equal to minus sine theta because it's in the fourth quadrant where only cos is positive. So we can do this repeatedly for tan and cos and see where each individual trig function is positive and negative. So this is how we use these laws in order to reduce certain angles. So you might be given something like tan of, let's say, tan of 210. And then you have to know that, okay, 210 can be written as 180 plus 30. 180 plus 30 is in the third quadrant. Therefore, depending on which function you're working with. If it's tan, it's going to be positive tan theta, tan 30. Because here the angle is theta, we have 180 plus theta, theta is 30, so it's tan 30. If what happens to be here is cos, then it will be negative. If it's sine, it will be negative tan 30. So that's how we use these reduction angles to try and simplify our angles. Then over here, we also have what we call cofunctions. So cofunctions have to do with this 90 minus theta and 90 plus theta. So with cofunctions, they're just as follows. Cos 90 minus theta is equal to cos theta because it's in this quadrant. Sine within the first quadrant is just positive, so that will reflect to being cos theta. We're not going to go into why that is the case, but just know that it is the case. Then we have cos 90 minus theta. That will also be sine theta. Then we have sine of 90 plus theta. This will be negative cos theta. But then we have cos 90. This is actually positive cos theta. And then we have cos 90 plus theta. And since this is cos 90 plus theta being the second quadrant, this is going to change into negative sine theta, like that. So these are cofunctions. Now taking a look at this example again, we have sine 100 over cos 10. 100 can be written as 90 plus 10. Therefore, we can say sine 90 plus 10 over cos 10. And this will simplify to 90 plus theta. Sine 90 plus theta is just cos of that. So we're going to get cos 10 over cos 10, which just gives us 1. So this is how you apply reduction angles and cofunctions in order to simplify trig expressions with values.